This is an exclusive presentation of KBEY Sports. Now, live from the KBEY studios in Marble Falls, it's the Coach Todd Dodge Show. 30 minutes of sports information on the Marble Falls Mustangs with the Mustangs head coach Todd Dodge. Reviews of previous games and this week's game to be heard exclusively on KBEY 103.9. The Coach Todd Dodge Show is brought to you exclusively by Discount Beds and More. Now, your hosts, Jennifer Fierro and Ben Shields.
We appreciate you joining us on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. A nice victory for the Mustangs last week to keep their playoff hopes alive and set up a huge matchup this Friday night against the Leander Lions. And the Mustangs were victorious over the Tigers, 56-38. So, Coach, it was a wild and woolly first half, and in the second half, it was all Marble Falls.
I tell you what, that's about everything you'd want out of a high school football game in that first half. As we talked about last week, the two groups of young men just absolutely got after each other, and is what we expected. Have a tremendous amount of respect for Bob Schultz and his staff, and they've got good players. We knew that they can throw the football, and Tyler Cobble came out hot, their senior quarterback, and did a nice job. And it took us a little while to get them stopped, and we were able to keep scoring with them. We just thrilled to come away with the victory and keep our goals intact, which is being in the hunt in Week 10.
Coach, how stubborn do you think this Tigers team was going into this ball game, and what do you feel like you had to do to break their will?
Well, they've got a lot of pride. This was their seniors' last game at home. They've had a disappointing season. This is a big rivalry game for both groups, with Marble Falls and Dripping Springs playing each other for a long time. So there's nothing more. They wanted to get a win for their seniors' last game there at Tiger Stadium, and then also knock us off of our plans. So they were a very, very tough opponent, and obviously it showed with a 38-35 halftime.
What was said in the locker room, Coach? They got 38 points, and then he shut them out in the second half. What did you guys do in the locker room?
Well, basically we stated right up front before we started making offensive and defensive adjustments is we will win. Just let's make sure we get that in our mind, regardless of, what's fixing to happen in the next 15 minutes as far as our adjustments that we make, is that bow your neck, get in your mind, we will win. We will find a way to win, expect to win. And that's exactly what our players did. And we came out, to start the second half and got on a roll and put the game away.
Coach, talking to some of your seniors, they said that they appreciated how honest the coaching staff was. In particular, Coach Tony Salazar, the defensive coordinator, in summing up the first half. Can you talk a little bit about that and the encouragement? Because they said they were incredibly encouraged when they came out of the locker room.
Well, the thing that is, you and I talked about this morning, there's a lot of trust in the field house right now. At some point during the development of a program, players have to trust coaches to be critical of them, because that's our job. We have to be critical. We have to analyze what's going on, and they have to understand that when we are, it's not an attack on their character or them as young men. I love this team. I think this team is, we've got a lot of really good young men, but sometimes they don't always play as well as they're capable of playing. And in the first half, defensively, we didn't. And Tony just basically told them that. And after that, now, kind of painted a picture of some of the things that we'd done in the recent past, and said that's who we are. Let's go out and get that done. And really, what happened is we stopped giving up the big plays in the passing game, and we started getting much better pass rush as we started the second half.
When you think about this particular contest and putting it all into context, we talked about an 8-minute stretch of a 48-minute game that really summed up the best of the Mustangs. Scoring right before half, getting the onside kick, scoring right out on that short field, then getting the turnover. Are we just now seeing a glimpse of what this team can really do?
Well, I think that's, our team has improved tremendously, and our players are playing with much more confidence than they ever have. But that is absolutely right, Jennifer. That was the time in the ball game. We could have kind of sat on a 38-28 deficit, and kind of said, well, let's go in with the 10-point deficit here at halftime. But that's not who we are. We had a minute and 25 seconds left. We went the length of the field and scored on a pass from Brennan Wooten to Zuri Buchanan right before the half. And at some point in the game, we knew that they would onside kick. I thought that it might happen in the first half when they were up 28-14 to try to go up 3 scores and steal a possession. And so it was kind of odd that they chose to the win for the fourth quarter. There was a little bit of a wind blowing to begin the third quarter. They chose to kick into it and give us the win the third quarter. I think that Bob thought that maybe we thought they'll just kick it out of the back of the end zone because their kicker was a very strong leg, and he could have. Well, they tried the little bunt, what we call the bunt onside. Our kids were ready for it. We talked about it at halftime, and Cullen Vaught did a great job of getting on it. And then from there, we score on that possession. The next possession, our senior safety, Stephen Petrosky, gets a huge interception, returns it back to about midfield. We score again and then kind of put the game away after that.
And the offense in this contest, a couple weeks ago after the Vandergrift game, you wanted to see better play from the offense. Well, other than the one interception, they were pretty much perfect the whole night.
Well, in the Rouse game, or I guess the Vandergrift game in the fourth quarter, our offensive personnel was very disappointed. That's not who we were. We didn't play well enough up to our standards. And since then, in the Vista Ridge and the Dripping Springs game combined, we've only punted one time, and racked up 101 points and averaged about 600 yards of total offense in those 2 games. So offense is starting to do its job again, and that's what we're built to do is to score points.
We'll look at all those points coming up as we've got the highlight portion of the Marble Falls Mustangs and the Dripping Springs ball game last Friday night. A lot of highlights to get to. We're just getting going this evening. It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show, brought to you by Discount Beds and More here at the KBEY Studios. Back with more.
Here's Ben Shields and Jennifer Fierro.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. The Coach Todd Dodge Show is brought to you by Discount Beds and More in Marble Falls. So let's go to the highlight portion of the show. Dripping Springs, they got off to a 7-0 advantage, and then the Mustangs come right back and get a 1-yard Keith Jerome touchdown run. That'd be his first of 7 touchdowns on the evening. Then Dripping Springs goes back on top 14-7, and then Marble Falls gets the ball back, and the offense goes to work again. Here's KJ.
Wooten has a snap, gives Jerome nice cutback to his right, the 45, the 40, the 35, the 30. Keith Jerome, the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5, into the end zone. Keith Jerome with a nice cutback, goes 49 yards, and the Mustangs again an extra point away from tying this ball game up with 1:33 to go in the first quarter.
Then the extra point would be good, and Keith Jerome just an outstanding night.
Well, KJ is a special young man. He is a veteran as they come, as far as high school football for us. He's a 2-year starter. We told KJ before the game, we need you to have the game of your life. You need to step up. Because at any point, there's going to come a time when people are going to do some things to take some things away in our passing game. And when they do, we have to go other directions. And really that's what our whole offense is predicated on, is putting 6 skill position players on the field that if someone decides to take away one faction of our offense, that we can go in a different direction. Offensive line, Hunter Dooley, Chase Fry, Sam Kahutek, Drake Harkins, and then our sophomore Ryan Becker just absolutely played lights out. You don't have a running back rush for 297 yards without those guys up front playing tremendous. Matter of fact, they all had over 30 production points for the game. That's, that I don't know that I've ever had an offensive line have that kind of collective game in all the years that I've been in coaching.
The Mustangs, they were down 28-14. They cut back in that lead with a 3-yard Keith Jerome run. and then Dripping Springs scores again, and then Keith Jerome with his longest run of the night.
Running back Keith Jerome on first down and 10, moving the shotgun. As the snap, handoff, Jerome up the middle, the 30, the 35, the 40, 45, 50. Keith Jerome on his horse, the 40, the 30, breaks a tackle, the 20. Keith Jerome, the 10, the 5, touchdown, 75 yards on the ground. KJ breaking tackles. He goes the distance for the Mustangs.
Again, the run starts up front.
Well, it was really a nice scheme. Great job by Coach Murdoch, our offensive line coach, Coach Wilson, our running back coach. Those are the guys that really spend Sundays doing a lot of the scheming in the run game. The little gap scheme that we had it was a two-back set. Had Zuri Buchanan coming around and also Drake Harkins. We pulled Drake up through the hole. Zuri got a body on, got a nice push, and got KJ. And, KJ's weighing about 210 pounds right now and really feeling better than he has all year. He had, not a lot of people knew, but he was nursing a knee that kind of bothered him, all through the off season, and it kind of kept tweaking during the summer a little bit and early fall, and he's really getting back and getting, as you saw, he broke some and didn't get caught several times the other night and getting his speed back.
Mustangs were down 38-28, and as you mentioned, Coach, instead of just sitting on the ball, decided to go for it, going into the locker room, and with seconds left on the clock, here is Brennan Woon going through the air for Zuri Buchanan.
Quick pass outside, Zuri Buchanan, wide receiver screen, back to his left. Buchanan has some room, the 10-5, touchdown. Touchdown on the wide receiver screen. Woon to Buchanan, 17 yards out, 12 seconds on the clock, so a 17-yard pass. That's Wooten to Buchanan on third down and 10.
And he got a nice block at the end to spring him into the end zone.
Well, our biggest player on our team is Chase Fry. And Chase got out and got a body on two people during that game. And, Zuri, that was a little jailbreak screen, and it's one of our staples in our offense. Zuri has a real knack for running it. And it was a huge play for us, because really we had a 3rd and 8 right there. Two ways of thinking. We can kind of position the ball with a run right between the hashes and then call timeout, try to kick a field goal before halftime, or we can take, we'll take this one shot on 3rd and 8, and if we don't, we'll get the timeout. But a really nicely executed play, and Zuri got it in the end zone, and that was a huge part of the ball game right there. Is only going down 3.
Coach, you mentioned the fact that the offensive line blocked well. Did you also think your receivers and everybody else blocking downfield, how big of a role do you think that played in the outcome? Huge.
A little scheme on our outside zone with our inside and outside receivers on the play side. I thought that J.T. Watson did a real nice job sealing in backers that Garrett Gray and Colin Sconning both on getting bodies on the safeties. We were able to get KJ, to the second level quite often the other night. Anytime you run the stretch play as much as we did, your offensive tackles have to be playing well to set the edge, and it really was a nice job all the way around. We talk about unit grades. We had a unit grade. The week before it was 90%. So if you're taking that test collectively, we made a 90 against Vista Ridge. We made 92 this week. So that's one of those things. Very very efficient football, and when you have all that, you don't punt.
So you hope for 95 this next week.
I'll tell you what, we've got a great test ahead of us, but that's our players are executing at a very high level right now.
So coming out of the locker room, Dripping Springs, they try an onside kick, and again, Colin Vaught with a great recovery on the onside kick and took a hit too and was able to hold on the ball, so he had half the field to work with. And then Keith Jerome, he goes to work yet again for the go-ahead score.
4th down, less than 1. Buchanan, he's the slot right side. Jerome to the left of Woot on 4th down. Snap back to Woot. Give Jerome. Jerome has the first down. It's on the 15-10. 5 touchdown, Keith Jerome on 4th down. He'll go 26 yards and his 5th touchdown of the night. The Mustangs have the lead, 41-38, 9:34 to go. In the third quarter, that's a 51-yard drive.
Needed 1 yard for the first down. Go ahead and get the 25 yards for the score.
It seems like the other night we had quite a few situations where I was telling Coach Poe we're in 4-down territory. We got ourselves in 3rd down in anywhere from long to medium. down in that range where, and I just tell him, I say, listen, we've got 2 downs to get this, and so in that situation, whatever we ran on 3rd down, got ourselves, and we have a lot of confidence in KJ being able to get 1 yard, and obviously broke it again with great blocking from the offensive line.
Again, the Mustangs are up 42-38. Dripping Springs, they've got the ball. They're going through the air, and this time a huge play for the Mustangs defense.
Cobble looking to throw downfield. It's short, and it's intercepted. That's the stop. The Mustangs need it. Steven Petrosky, the 30, the 35, still up. Hold on to the ball. He does. The 40, and he is going to be brought down to the 42-yard line. So a return of about 30 for Steven Petrosky. There was pressure.
And so that's just a big play that the defense needed to come up with, and they certainly came up with it.
Well, I was so happy for Steven. He's one of our seniors, and just keeps getting better. And it was a huge play, because there hadn't been a whole lot of stops in the first half. You can kind of call the attempted onside kick by them a stop. It's almost like a turnover. It's almost like back-to-back turnovers right there, and enabled us to get the lead that we held on for the rest of the game.
All right, so let's round out the scoring. Keith Jerome one last time. He makes it 7, and this one was through the air.
And the snap, here's pressure. Screen off to Jerome. Jerome has a block in front of him, and he breaks a tackle at the 40. 35-30, Jerome, the 25, the 20. Jerome to the 15, behind his block, the 5. Touchdown, Keith Jerome. What a catch and run for Keith. He would not go down. That's going to be 41 yards. He continues to tack him on. I believe his 7th touchdown of the evening with 6 seconds to go at the third. 55-38, Marble Falls.
And that was his first receiving touchdown of the night.
That's 28 unanswered points for your Mustangs.
Yeah, again, it started there at the beginning, at the end of the first half, and continued on into the third quarter, scored 21 points. Third quarter definitely, won the first 7 minutes of the second half, is what you're always talking about. I think that last one, you got a kind of a escort into the end zone by our big right tackle, Ryan Becker. A great job there getting out and running. And, KJ scored 7 touchdowns. That didn't happen very often in anybody's high school career. He is – Austin American Statesman, it's the second week in a row. We had the player of the week. Garrett Gray was last week, and Keith Jerome this morning was announced this week. He also is a candidate for the statewide award of the Ford Tough player of the week. And so we're hoping for the best for that for KJ. We nominated him and hoping for the best for that.
Coach, how much of KJ's runs are him reading where the blocks are versus just being design runs where he knows he has to get to a specific spot in a certain amount of time?
It's all about the the blocking up front, and then him being physical and then using his God-given ability. There's certain things. Obviously, we've got gap schemes that he has to know who's pulling, who's kicking out, who's leading through. We got zone schemes that he has to be able to read linebackers and cut back behind them. We have just man-on schemes that he has to read the nose guard, and cut off the nose guard. So we have, we've got about 4 different run schemes, and one of the things we try to do offensively is keep things pretty simple. Sometimes people think we're complicated, but for our kids, we're really not. We do about 4 things. We try to run them out of all of our sets, and then we've got about 5 or 6 things that we do in the passing game and run some screens. And after your kids get pretty good at that, they can be at a high level of efficiency.
So you had KJ's performance last week. The week before that, Garrett's performance. Have you seen 2 individual performances like that back to back?
I don't remember having a 5 touchdown performance by a receiver and then a 7 touchdown by a running back on back-to-back weeks. And if it's happened, I can't remember it, but it may have happened before my career, but I don't remember that. I think that's outstanding. It says a lot to our offensive line.
Been quite a treat for the Mustang fans, and they'll need your support this Friday night and at 7:30 against Leander. When we come back, we'll talk about those Leander Lions as they are playing for the playoffs coming up Friday night.
Here's Ben Shields and Jennifer Fierro.
It's the Coach Todd Dodge Show, brought to you by Discount Beds and More on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. So the Leander Lions come to town Friday night, and whoever wins this ball game going to the playoffs out of 25-4A. And both teams have identical records. Leander have 4-5, 2-3 in district play. Coach Lee Bridges in his first year at the helm. How different is this team this year from last year?
I think potentially better offensively. They seem to be spreading the ball around to a lot of different people, as they go through the year. Their quarterback, Brandon Hopp, is a junior and has thrown for nearly 2,000 yards on the year. They've got 3 or 4 receivers they like to spread it around to. Of course, Dan McClatcher is their top running back, a junior who we remember from last year. So, offensively, they're pretty explosive. Defensively, they've got 3 superstars really on defense, and that's number 7 is Michael Epley, and he's defensive end, and he's headed to SMU. And then they got Martin Wakama, who is an outside linebacker, kind of strong safety type that's going to Rice. And then number 21, their boundary corner, Zach Noska. Really, probably, arguably 3 of the best defensive players in District 25 4A in their own right. This is a team that was ranked as high as 4 in the state of Texas at the beginning of the year. Got off to a little bit of a rough start. Of course, played Hendrickson early. And as we've talked about before, it seems like a lot of people that we've played have had trouble with those guys, and rightfully so. Lee Bridges is a really good friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time, went to school together at the same time at the University of Texas. Lee has actually worked my quarterback receiver camps in the past, and I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him and his staff, and we are good friends. We talked yesterday on the phone actually. But come Friday, it'll all be about the competition.
Coach, what does it say to you when you're just looking, other than the fact that Hendrickson is probably the only team that can take down District 25 4A? Cedar Park's 8-1, Vandergrift 7-2, Rouse is 6-3, Leander and Marble Falls and Vista Ridge are all 4-5, and of course Dripping Springs is 2-7. What does that say to you about the strength of this district? Well,
we've talked about all year. It's an extremely strong district, and we're 1 week away from the playoffs, and we're going to have 4 representatives, and I think all 4 of our representatives have a chance. It'll be interesting to follow. I'm sure hoping one of them is us. And, Rouse kind of showed last year that you can, they were 6-4 at the end of the regular season, got on a run and went all the way to the semifinals. Of course, Cedar Park, was a powerhouse, going into last year. I think they're even better this year, right now, overall. Vandergrift is a team that's probably one of the most improved teams in the whole area. We feel very fortunate to have gotten the win over Vista Ridge. They're a very talented team. They rung up 21 points and some nice, yardage against Cedar Park the other night. So they're getting better. And we know Leander, we can't be, they're 4-5 on the year, but you can't look at that. Just like we're 4-5, we think we're better than a 4-5 team. But I tell our kids all the time, I said, let's don't get hung up on, what the record is. Let's make sure we wrap ourselves on around. We're playing for our goal in the last week of the season, and we play in a very tough league.
Coach, do you feel that? I don't know how to ask you this, just to ask you. I feel like the defense for Leander. Well, if they are able to get a turnover and punch that in, could that be the difference in the game? Because you were very wise in not letting that one play define the offense against Dripping Springs last week, the pick 6. Going into this game, will you need a perfect game to win this one?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't want our players going in thinking they have to, play the perfect game. They're at a point right now that, our sophomore quarterback is not a sophomore anymore. Our revamped offensive line that had no starts coming in now have 9 starts. Kylan Sconning, who's playing X, has now played for 3 games. Zuri Buchanan, who starts both ways, has now done it for 3 or 4 weeks. So, I thought Brennan did a really nice job of making a mistake, not having it cost another mistake last week. And sometimes young quarterbacks, when they do that, they'll get all, we just got over and talked about it, and he was kind of down on himself. And I just said, hey, somebody caught it. I said, God dang, son. I mean, you put it right on the money. I mean, it's just kind of kidding with him.
Relax him a little bit.
Yeah, just trying to relax him a little bit. He, and he comes back and leads his team. But we're going to have to play really well. There's no doubt. I don't want them going out and say we got to play perfect and being tight. You know, they trust our players trust right now that we kind of got a good flow going in the field house and preparing for games. And you know, we don't want to wish any of the preparation away. We've had 2 solid days. We got to have a great day tomorrow. And then, boy, we're just really excited about really playoff football coming here to the Hill Country on Friday night. And
you've already had 2 essentially playoff games already, must-win games. So how does that help the team come in loose?
Well, right now it's where you want to be. You know, the old saying, Betty bar the door. You know, it's just turn it loose, play. You know, I've talked to them about, you know, we got to play hard. And I promise you, I don't lose any sleep on a Thursday night wondering whether my kids are going to play hard or not. I think that's a given. If we don't, then we don't deserve to be in the game. But we got to play well. We got to play smart. We got to play efficient. Can't give up a bunch of big plays. We got to hit our goals. You know, and it's going to be a great challenge because they want the same thing. I mean, they want the same thing we do. There's a lot of pride, you know, over there in Leander. You know, can't forget they were a 3 or 4 round playoff 5A team just 2 years ago. And so it's a great challenge, but that's why you play this. That's why you want to be in the arena. And you know, once again, I just want to thank all of our fans for all the support they give us at home and on the road. But please, you know, if you haven't come to a game this year, come out this Friday night, and our supporters come out and be loud and help us, you know, get this win and get us into the playoffs.
Matter of fact, the Booster Club, they're asking people to make it a purple out on Friday. So get your purple and make it to the ball game and fill the stands. Get there early and have a great time. Also bring a white cup towel, foul towel to wait for the boys to see a sea of support in the stands this Friday night. We'll wrap up the Coach Todd Dodge Show after this, brought to you by Discount Beds and More in Marble Falls.
Back to the program with Ben Shields and Jennifer Fierro.
Really appreciate y'all tuning in this evening, not only on KBEY 103.9, but Northland Channel 15. Want to thank our fans for coming out this evening. Joby and Jed Huffman in the studio having a good time watching the Coach Todd Dodge Show. So it is time to wrap up this show. And, Coach, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck with the big game Friday night.
Well, Ben and Jennifer, I really appreciate this opportunity. Y'all don't know what this means to our program, KBEY Radio, all the sponsors. It is not a given in high school football that you're able that a group of players is able to have their own radio show. So I really, really do appreciate it. And as I've been told and telling all of our seniors, you know, Monday could have been their last practice. Today could have been their last last Monday could have been their last Tuesday. But we got a chance to go earn it. And so I sure hope to be back with y'all next Tuesday night. But we got to take care of business come Friday night.
We're hoping for that too, Coach.
You bet, Coach. All the best to you and the boys on Friday. Of course, we will start our night at 6:30 with our Highland Lakes pregame show. You and I will be live at 7 and then kick off at 7:30. And, of course, on dailytrib.com, we'll wrap it all up.
Yeah, take your radios out to the game. Be sure to wear your purple to Mustang Stadium. This has been the Coach Todd Dodge Show, brought to you by Discount Beds and More in Marble Falls.